You know, when I look deeper at this specific bait here from Big Bite Baits, this is the Finesse Swimmer, and they also have what's called the Pro Swimmer. Now, to me, the Pro Swimmer has a lot more action to it. It's a little bulkier bait. I mean, as you see the ribs and the whole action of that bait, it really kind of goes through the water with a lot more action. The Finesse Swimmer, to me, kind of comes through the water with a little bit tighter action and maybe a little bit more side-to-side wiggle. A lot of guys will rig these on your umbrella rigs. They'll rig it on a straight jig head. For me personally, on this particular day, I was Texas rigging it, and in that situation, basically what I'm doing is just taking the hook, going in a little bit, popping it back out, running it around, and then back out through the bait itself. And when I do that, the next thing I'll do is I just let my weight, and I'm throwing a fairly small weight on today's fishing trip. And the reason why, we're only fishing 1 to 3 foot of water. I don't need to get it down. I want it actually in the upper part of the water column. And I want that weight not to be pegged in this type of situation. I like it to be just basically able to move like that. When I first hit the water, the weight's gonna make a splash, the bait makes a splash. A lot of the strikes come immediately on that type of deal. And then as I reel it, that weight goes back into the hook itself, and then when I get a bite, that weight will swing free, and it helps me not lose as many. Now, on this particular trip, I probably was only about 1 for every 3, 1 for every 4, and I think a lot of that was these fish just moved up into that water that day. A lot of times when they're doing that, they haven't settled in, and they're just slashing at the bait. And for whatever reason, it was a particular day that I was losing a lot of fish. I remember another trip throwing similar sized swim baits with Clark. You know, he was throwing a big swim bait from Strike King. I was throwing a bigger swim bait from Big Bite. I was actually throwing Sunline Sniper that day. The water was incredibly clear, the sun was out, and we were throwing over some of those holes, and I just felt like I was gonna get more bites in that type of situation versus the braided line. On this particular trip, the water had a little more color to it. There was a lot more timber that I was dealing with in there and a lot more grass, and I chose to use braided line. You have to kind of make those decisions as each independent day goes on once you're getting out on the water.